Hello everyone. I am getting all my single shadows out. They are not organized, so you're gonna have to bear with me on that one. Let me know if you'd be interested in kind of a chill with me, clean up my single shadows video. I've done definitely that before, but my goodness, right now it's pretty bad. Anyway, I have lots of singles going on as always. If you guys don't know, I have a huge single shadow collection, and I thought today we could dupe out some of the palettes that are out on the market. I feel like palettes are a little bit dead right now. I don't know, they just aren't coming out nearly as much, and I mean, I'm not even that mad about it. Like, I mean, I love eyeshadows, don't get me wrong. I love my eyeshadows, you guys, but I definitely have been very much into blushes, complexion products, bronzers, highlighters, even skincare, body care, those types of beauty items. And I feel like I've also just noticed that there aren't as many palettes out. I almost feel like it's like death of palettes at the moment. You'll have to let me know. I mean, in the indie community, palettes are still going strong and probably always will. But in terms of like mainstream stuff at Sephora, it's definitely not nearly as popping, I feel. Popping. Oh my God. How can you sound like a square when you say popping? It's not popping nearly as much. Anyway, the three palettes that I'm faking today. Oh yeah, we're gonna fake out some palettes. I really just want to see if I like these color stories. I feel like some of these, I really like the palettes themselves, but I'm kind of like, do I have that in my collection already? Do I really need that in my collection already? I don't know. You know, I kind of want to just like feel out my singles, use those. I know I have some amazing, you know, products here. So anyway, the first palette is the ABH Cosmos eyeshadow palette. Something that seems totally up my alley, right? Like duochromes, multi-chromes, that Cosmo vibe, and also theming is totally something I'm into. I don't know what it is about this palette though. In photos, I do not think it translates very well. So I don't really get the magic, and I have not seen this palette in person. So I know myself, like I got so many amazing duochromes, multi-chromes. So I'm gonna take some inspiration from that palette and create something similar. I love the idea of this, but I know I have this. So I thought this one would be fun to fake, AKA dupe, but we're saying fake. The other palette that I am wanting to fake, which I actually already own, I already bought this, is the Natasha Denona Yucca palette. I was really into this, but I thought it'd be fun to just look at pictures and try to get as close as I can. And then in a later video, because I do have a video entirely dedicated to the Yucca palette coming, we'll compare them and see how close I was. I thought that'd be fun. So we're gonna do that one. And then I don't know what my third palette's gonna be yet. I'm telling you, like, where are the palettes? There is a new bigger palette from ColourPop that's really warm, and I thought maybe taking some inspiration from that would be fun. But really, I've been loving the single life, whether that's taking a palette and really only using like one, maybe two shades, whether that's using my single shadows like these ones here, or using my single potted shadows. Like, that's really been my vibe. So anyway, let's just get into it. I think we're gonna start with the ABH palette because I am super excited for that. So I wanna go through first, and I'm gonna try to pick out the best like duochromatic shadows for the shimmers that are in this palette. I'm just going off of this photo on Sephora's website, so that's gonna be my reference photo. I might check out the Instagram if I need some help with like shifts and stuff, but I'm kind of taking some liberties with this one. So I'm gonna pull color variations, probably pull a few different, I guess, options in each of the shimmers. And then I feel like the mattes will be pretty easy because they're pretty basic. But yeah, let's get digging because this is like nothing. Like I really do have like palettes on palettes, y'all. Oh, I show you an empty palette. Let me show you. Let me see. Can I find one with some eyeshadows in there? No. Well, that one's like half full. I know because I recently did my Shine by SD that I have one that's just like to the brim. Look at that. Look at that. Now that's what I'm talking about. These are all Shine by SD. Stunning. If you really love singles, check out that video. I did a swatch video on all the new ones coming out, but I have so many videos on Shine shadows and they are stunning. So anyway, let me get to work. Let me find some cuties to pull out. Okay, here's a little overview of what I have going on right now. So lots of stuff. I picked out more than I thought. I was swatching a ton of stuff. Look at all those pretty, look at this. If that's not Cosmos, I don't know what is. I really don't know what is. So let me divide these up really fast into kind of the category I thought they might fit into for each shadow. Okay, so here are kind of all of the sections. So there's kind of this blue leaning duochrome that's really just iridescent, at least looking at the picture full on. So that's like really what I was looking at first. Then I kind of went into swatches, which then made me go, oh, this is so much more neutral and like actually not giving the shifts. I'm sure in person you can really see all the little sparkles and like probably some color, but I would say overall, at least in the swatches, we're getting something pretty neutral with some iridescence. Like that's what it's looking like. And I think that's why I wasn't like convinced to get this one necessarily right off the bat. So then we have something that looks a little bit more orange and duochromy. Then we have something that's kind of like pink, probably a pink gold flip, something like that. Then there's almost like a taupe looking color, but it also looks a little bit like the tinge of green almost. So that's what's going on here. Then there's like a yellow, and I'm assuming this is like a red based yellow with a green like shift on it. So I have some stuff kind of like that here. Then the last shade in the first row is called Galaxy, and that one I think is like probably something pretty deep and dark, maybe even almost black, if not black, with like some shimmer particles running through. And then the only shimmer on the bottom row is kind of that, like this is like some of my favorite shit right here. One of those like red based purple blue cool toned with like a violet, maybe a pink purple shift thing. So I have some of that. And those are the main, I feel like, kind of shifts going on that I see, again, from just online, which I do not think probably does it justice. One of the things I was noticing as I was going through though is that, man, I definitely had a tendency to like make it so much more in a way rainbow than what the actual palette is. Again, it feels neutral with like some fun to it, which I love. So I have a few different options, but we're just gonna zoom in even more. I wanna show you guys the colors that I have for each one. We'll pick through. There might even be 2 versions of this palette, I feel like, just based off of, you know, what's going on. So this first one here, this one is from Shine by SD. It's called Takeover. It is so pretty. Now, this is what I'm talking about when I say it's not actually this colorful. Like this has a blue base on it. It flips like every which color. It has green, gold, orange, pink on a blue cool toned base, almost kind of gray toned. It is so stunning, very Cosmos to me. Like this is the Cosmos colorful palette. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna make one version of this that's like super colorful and one version that isn't. So I'm gonna put that in the colorful palette. As for what I feel like the Cosmos is actually serving, it's probably more like this one. This is Reserve number 4. And although this looks really blue in the pan, it's more of that like iridescent, let me get you a swatch. It's like iridescent, kind of white leaning, you know what I mean? Like it's a lot more safe than this one. So I think for our more neutral version of this palette, I'm going to put Reserve number 4. Yeah, Reserve number 4. The other one happens to also be from Shine. This is more of like a gray toned blue, or a blue toned gray, I guess I would say. And so I don't feel like that gives off the iridescence, although it's a stunning color and it has pink shifts in it, gold shifts in it, but it also looks like kind of a tealy blue gray. It's so pretty. All of these are stunning. I could see it going like all these directions, but I think I'm gonna put this one away. And then, like I said, do kind of a two versions of a palette, if you will. So let me find a palette. I'll start putting them in. Next, we're going in for the shade Sun, and these are the shadows that I kind of picked out. I have a lot of oranges here. Some lean more like pinky orange, some lean more like red base. Looking at the photos, probably the lightest, kind of peachiest color with a little bit of maybe a red base or a neutral base on it. It's probably going to be best. So that's what I'm going to be looking for like the more neutral one. This one's called Gord a Mercy, like instead of Lord have mercy, I think. This is from Looxi, and this one is so pretty. It has like a kind of bronze base, but then there's green shimmer in here. I feel like there's some pink shimmer, a little bit of gold, as well as just like the actual base of that kind of coppery orange. I think this one's stunning, and this one definitely is a good contender, I feel like, for the more neutral palette, because it has the sparks and the fun, but it's still pretty much a neutral overall. This one's called Hot Rod, also from Looxi. I don't know which ones of these are going to be available, but I'm just going to leave the main brands down below. So if you are interested, these are mostly too for you guys to like shop your own stash, see what you have, just take a second look at palettes. Like, it's not meant to dupe these out, because financially sometimes my singles end up costing more if I were to buy them all than it would to buy the palette. So it's not about that for these. Anyway, this one is really pretty, and I feel like really gives that Cosmo vibe because it's a little more iridescent. Like, I love that cooler flip on the top, even though it has like the warmer base. I think that is so stunning. So high contender, honestly. Looking, there's a few more. Let's see. Caterpillar from Looxi. Lots of Looxi shadows right now. That one has more of that orange base, and then it has the gold on top. That's also really pretty. I really love that. It has a really strong golden flip to it. I think that one also absolutely stunning. This one's from Shine by SD. It's called Sparks. And this one's more sheer, so it doesn't really have too much of a base on it, as you can see. But I feel like, let me turn on another light. I thought there was another light on. There we go. I think that's a lot better. I don't know what happened there. Anyway, this is more of a transparent kind of color, which is really pretty. And again, probably fits the theme also for the more like actual neutral one. I feel like that's probably what's actually in the palette. And then for the more fun ones, this is Invested from Shine by SD. Way more like kind of electric, the orange on that, the pink that flips, and a little bit of gold going on too. So much more colorful, but still I feel like really wearable. And then this last shade is very similar. This one's called Georgia Peach, but the shine on this one is a lot more intense. I don't know if you can tell, like it is a little bit more flaky, like the sparkles coming off are a lot more intense, and the shine itself, like the shift, this one has more of like an intense hot pink, and this one's a little bit lighter, which I think is really fun. So I think what I'm gonna do, oh, it's so tough. I think I want for the more neutral palette, I'm gonna go with my heart, even though this might not be the one. I'm gonna go with Hot Rod for the more neutral one. And then I'm gonna go with the Georgia Peach for the more fun one. I think that will be good. All right, for pinks, I have a few different ones. I don't know if any of these are gonna be perfect, but it's what I got. This first one's called Tequila Sunrise from Looxi. This one is really pretty. That's the one I think I want to put in the neutral one, like just off the bat. Probably doesn't have the pink shine on it as much, but it's so stunning. It has like a cool pink, but then also like a purple and also almost like a gold shimmer going on. This next one's called Fuzzy Flamingo, and this is also from Looxi. This is pink, but then it has, as you can see, like a green, kind of teal, almost like a cool green blue though, shift on top with like the pink base, and a little bit of golden green as well is coming off. So pretty, so stunning. I feel like some of those Looxi shadows are so good and they're very affordable. This one's from the Hidden Gem collection from Shine by SD. This one's called Luring, and that one is absolutely stunning. So pretty, nice pink, a little bit of an orange base, super sparkly though. Love that. That one's probably going into the more intense one. And then last year, this one's called Cosmo. Oh, it's not based off like the Cosmos. It's based off of like the drink, the Cosmo, a Cosmo. Almost has more of that like purpley pink thing going on. So I don't know. I mean, part of me wants to pick this now instead of this one because of the fact that it's called Cosmo. Like, how fun is that for the palette, you know? Like, is it weirdly, oddly meant to be? Maybe. But I feel like this one matches better. I'm gonna go with the lighter pink for my neutral Cosmo palette that I'm creating. And then, of course, I'm going to go with the Shine by SD Luring for my more intense palette. All right, we have the yellow shadows here. I feel like this category was actually kind of difficult for me, which I find odd because I feel like out of all the shadows in this palette, it's the one that I do know. Like, I know I have this somewhere, whether it's in palettes or like, I just feel familiar with it, but finding it in singles was a little bit difficult. So I have some definite nice bright ones. This one is for sure, I'm pretty sure, we'll see, going into my fun Cosmos, like the more intense one. This is called Can't Stop, and it is from Shine by SD. You see the yellow, but it has a green flip to it. It also has like a transparent kind of pinky base to it. So stunning, would look so good just tapped over like anything. So that one's beautiful. This next one's called Shine Bright, another one that I really love. This is from Shine by SD as well. It has that yellow base on it, but then it has these really fun sparkles on top. So it has like a purple, has some blue. It almost looks kind of cool toned on top of that warm yellow, which I find so fun. And also I feel like this finish is pretty unique. I've described it before as similar to the Glam Shop Velvets, where it's almost like a matte shadows underneath with the shimmers on top, but it's all in one shadow. So really cool, really like that one as well. And then last one I think here from Shine by SD, this one's called Gradient. This one's definitely more electric, very limey, yellow, like very much a strong shadow. Like when I think of this Cosmo, I do like it a little bit more, I don't know, see-through or transparent, like not full opacity. And this one has a little more opacity than maybe I'd like. And it also has more of that color to it. So even for my more colorful palette, I'm not sure. And then this is probably the one I'm going to end up picking for the more neutral palette. This one, oh my gosh, with nails, you guys. Trying not to dig my nails in every shadow is so hard. This one's called Social Butterfly, and I feel like, you know, maybe this is the shadow I'm talking about here. It has a red base on it, which the shadow in the picture doesn't look like it necessarily has, but then this does have that kind of golden, almost green, almost teal, like has a warm shift and a cool shift kind of on top of that red base. And I think that's probably going to be the best pick for that palette. So I think that's the one I'm going to put in, the Social Butterfly from Looxi, into the more neutral one. And then for the more fun one, I'm going to go with Can't Stop. Like, it is so pretty. I can't not, and I won't stop. Oh my gosh, I realized we just skipped over the kind of like green taupey thing going on. So sorry about that. Let's grab those out. I have 3 here. This one's, I already know is a no, but we'll swatch it. We'll swatch it anyway. This one is from Looxi. It's called Howl at the Moon. And it's definitely a more sheer shadow. It has like a green going on, a pink going on, very sparkly, and again, kind of like a topper type shade. That's gonna be a no. So sorry. Then we have some true taupes, and I just put these in because these are some of my favorite taupes in my collection, and I think that they'd work well. And I do like this inclusion, I'm not gonna lie, of something kind of neutral. This is probably the one I'm gonna pick, and if you're looking for a beautiful taupe sparkly shadow, this one from Glam Shop's like so freaking good. It's called Cold Smoke, and it's stunning. It is so stunning. It has that kind of cool yet slightly warm, so it's not too gray toned base on it, with a beautiful cool toned like silvery shimmer on top. But you can kind of make this as full opacity or sheer as you want, which I love. So love that one. And then this one from Looxi is called Thorny, and this one doesn't have nearly as much sparkle. So this is more of like a true satin almost, maybe more like a metallic, but kind of more in the satin territory. And again, just a stunning taupe. It has that coolness, but not so much that it goes gray. And I find that those are my favorite because they don't pull too like dead on my eyes, because I do have a warmer / neutral undertone, and so I feel like these just kind of complement me best. I love it. And then this one is also from Glam Shop. This is the shade Smash Hit, and it is really pretty. It's almost like a green silver is what I would call it. Like it almost looks like a it would be silver, but it also just has a little touch of green to it as well, which is really stunning. I think maybe I'll put that one into the colorful palette. So there's like something going on. I don't know if it's gonna match the other shades, but then for sure Cold Smoke is gonna go into my more neutral palette, which I have the colors off. Let me fix that. All right, the last shade on top, that is the more dark and kind of mysterious color. I only have 3 options here. I feel like Sydney Grace, what is it called? Purple Sky, I think it is. It's a really beautiful, like blackened gray with some like colors. That one would probably be absolutely perfect. I cannot find it for some weird reason, but I would put that in for sure. But this is what I have. So this is gonna probably go into my more neutral palette, although this one is more of like a blue, almost gray, like it's a really dark, dark blue. It is so pretty. This one is from the On the Horizon palette from Sydney Grace in collaboration with Temptalia. So I'm pretty sure that's what's gonna go in there. I think it'll give enough depth, but it's like a fun addition to that palette. The other 2 shades I have here, one is Glam Shop. This is called Vegas Biz. And it's a very red tone color, but you can see that blue purple shift. This is very similar to the other shades I have left here. It looks darker, and I feel like the base is darker on it than some of the other ones we'll talk about, but I don't know if that one's right. The other one I picked though, this is called Ring the Alarm from Shine by SD. And again, these are not like super accurate to what's in there, but I think I'm gonna go with that one from Shine. It has like a purple base, or like a purple shimmer and a blue shimmer going on. And then the base is kind of interesting. It's not, I don't know, it's like a warmish base. So I think those are the 2 I'm gonna go with just for this video. But I really wish I could have put Purple Sky in here. I think that's what it's called from Sydney Grace. That one would have been absolutely perfect. Probably more for the neutral palette. You guys are like, what are you talking about? But just to give you an idea before we pick out the rest, this is the more neutral Cosmos palette I got going on. And then this one's the more colorful one. And although they're very similar, they're different. They're very different. And I feel like this one would be more enticing to the neutral lover, whereas this one is more for the color lover. And I feel like the theme Cosmos really could go so many ways. So yeah, anyway, that's what's going on. We have one more shimmer to pick out though. This one's on the bottom row, and it's kind of that traditional like red based blue purple cool tone yet warm toned thing, which I love these types of shades. So I have 4 here. This one's from Pretties for Your Face, and it's called Asteroid. It has that red base. It has a little bit of that tealy blue with some pinky purple. Really stunning, really pretty. So that's a good option. This one's from Glam Shop. Not entirely sure what the name is, but this one definitely has not as much of that red base and is really high on the blue shine. Like it comes off very cool toned. So that one's definitely interesting. Another Glam Shop Asteroid. This one is so pretty. Wait. They're both called Asteroid. Oh my gosh, I think I've talked about that before, but I just forgot. Okay, that I love. That Asteroid from Glam Shop is stunning. I love the red base. I feel like that's probably more similar to the actual palette. And then kind of similar to those is Angel's Wing. This is from Looxi. But this one is a little bit more on the like greeny yellow side. Like it doesn't go as purple. It has a little purple, but it goes more golden, I guess, than the other ones here. So that's pretty interesting. I want to put the Asteroid shade from Glam Shop into the more neutral palette, but I am tempted to put Angel's Wings maybe in my more colorful one, even though it's a little bit more neutral because it's kind of fun. I don't know. That's what I'm going to do anyway. And now I'm going to pick out some neutrals to go in here so we can finish this palette up. Well, these 2 palettes up. All right, I know this is not nearly as satisfying having only the mattes in one palette, but I don't want to pick out and I don't have enough of the matte neutrals. Like I feel like I've talked about this, but out of my singles collection, I have so many beautiful shimmers and colors and all that. Like I want the fun shades, and I tend to not have mattes in neutral tones that are, you know, all those tiny little nuances that can come with neutrals. I don't have those in singles. I have them more in actual palettes. So yeah, this is the best we could do. Let me show you first though, the actual one that I feel like is at least somewhat more similar to the true Cosmo palette from Natasha Denona. I am gonna actually swatch it out on my arm here so you guys can see it. So number one, this is that Reserve shade from Shine by SD. Then we have, I believe it's Hot Rod. I'm going off of memory, guys. Hot Rod from Looxi. Beautiful. Then this one, I don't think I went with Cosmo, so that means I went with, I don't know what this one is off the top of my head. That one's called Tequila Sunrise. Ooh, and look at those fingers. It looks so good, you guys. Next is Cold Smoke. This is from Glam Shop, which I love. Nice taupe. Really no iridescence in that one. Then we have this shade. I know it's from Looxi. Can I not stab the shadow? This is Social Butterfly. And then last on the top row, this is from that On the Horizon palette. It's the shade number 8 in that palette if you're going right to left. So that is On the Horizon, which is kind of like a teal. My mattes are definitely not the same. So, you know, take these with a grain of salt. I feel like depending on what palettes you have, I feel like matte neutrals tend to be pretty prevalent in all of our palettes because they're used quite frequently. But this one's from Sydney Grace. That one's called Iced Mocha. This more orange tone one is called Pharaoh from Looxi. I don't think that's available anymore. Looxi has stuff, but they discontinue a lot of stuff a lot of the time. This, I tried to get something with a little bit more of like a reddish undertone, but it's not quite as dark, I don't think. This one's from Sydney Grace. It's called Cocoa Raspberry Fudge. Then we have another shimmer. This one's Asteroid from Glam Shop. Then another orange shade. This one definitely isn't as dark as it needs to be, but I did my best. It's like pretty similar to the other freaking matte in here. That one's called Terracotta, also from Looxi. And then last, it's literally a black, you guys. This one happens to be from the Sydney Grace with one of the Temptalia palettes, but just a black. I decided to put in here. I don't know if it's an actual black. It almost looks like a grayish color, taupey color, or something like that. But I like blacks actually now because I do a little wing with them. So I love a black in a palette. I'm not gonna lie. So that is the more neutral Cosmo palette, which I think it's definitely looking good. Like, that looks so good. Look at those neutrals yet still iridescent shades. I definitely think those are probably pretty accurate to what's going on. Maybe not the exact shifts, but I do think that for Cosmos, it's like they're going more for the everyday person, not necessarily someone who's super wanting tons of color, but just enough of like that kind of ethereal, outer worldly thing. I think I'm gonna swatch the other palette on the other side so we could put both of them together. I think that'd be kind of fun. Hopefully you do too. Okay, here we go. We did it. I want to show you up close first. Let's do that. All right, so here are the more colorful shades. You can see the base colors coming out a lot more. I think it's so fun. Then the same neutrals, and don't mind my swatches at the end because it was hard with my opposite hand. The end swatches honestly aren't that different. It's mostly about these kind of shimmers at the front. Definitely the more colorful girly over here. And then, you know, she's trying. And I love both of them. I do. I love both of them. I could see myself really getting so much use out of this one, but also just like loving all my looks with this one. You know what I mean? Like having just so much fun and creativity. So really interesting. I'm glad that I did both. I'd love to know which one are you? Which girly are you? What Cosmo palette suits you best? And if you have the Cosmo palette, let me know your thoughts on it. Do you like it? How are the colors? Since you have it in person, one. If you could, you know, describe it to us, tell us what it's like, let us know. That'd be amazing. But yeah, super happy to have done this. I definitely see myself getting some good use out of both, but I am happy for the neutral. I'll probably just combine them though, to be honest, into one palette for myself. So that way I can just reach for it. I think that I'll get a lot of good use out of it that way. Let me just put them together now. Oh my gosh, look at that. What a complete little palette, right? I left out this one because it's so similar to the other shade anyway and it doesn't fit, but that is a cutie little patootie of a palette. It just reminds me of like one side one way, one side the other way, you know, like a flip of the coin. So anyway, that is my Cosmos palette. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Definitely a fun one. Definitely one I can see people liking the idea of and all that. But I think for me, because the swatches aren't like getting me, none of it was like getting me in terms of what it like looked like in photos, it was pretty easy to say no to, on top of the fact that I already know I love those types of shadows and I already know I have like amazing ones, you know? So I'm like, let's use those because I have them. All right, on to the Yucca palette. I am excited to create this. Like I said, I am not going to be using the actual palette as reference, even though I have it. I want to go off of photos so I can see how close they actually are, because that's like one of the things I think is so interesting about these videos is like, how close do I actually even get? Who knows? Because a lot of the time I'm not buying the palette, but this time I have it. So we're gonna see. I really loved this palette, very green inspired, and I'm excited to see if I have some of these grungy colors. So I am going to get to work and find those now, and I'm gonna do it on my own and then come back and tell you because they're hammering away like crazy and it's quite annoying. So let's find these shadows. All right, guys, here we are. This is my version of the Yucca palette. I'm gonna put it over here. I did try to use some of my knowledge, but I know this is definitely different. There are some different things going on. I do think this overall is probably a little bit brighter than that palette, although that one is so green. Like, I've been using it a lot and it is hard to not create something that is either green or like warm toned, like kind of orangey. At least that's been my experience from it, but there are a few colors in here I think are pretty dang good. So that'll be interesting to see, but then I think there are quite a few that are just be off a little bit, but overall definitely Yucca vibes. This one has maybe a little bit, like this leans a little more blue, you know, like it's more jungle looking to me than maybe Yucca, but I also feel like the green that's here in the Natasha Denona, I believe this one specifically is like that cream to powder, so it's not nearly as pigmented as you expect, but it still might be off. So anyway, let me swatch them for you and I'll let you know. Oh, I already got some swatches. Let me take those off. I think where I am probably the most off is going to be on the shimmers. There are some just really pretty shimmers in the Yucca palette. I really like that. That's like my favorite part, obviously. All right, this first shade here, this is called Rocky Road and it is from Looxi. This is like a red-based color, but it has, I guess I'll zoom in because I'm like, you guys can't even see that. This is like a red-based, again, like that golden, green, yellow thing going on. Really pretty. I feel like that one might be actually pretty similar to the one in the palette. Next, This is from Sydney Grace. This is called Trailhead. I really felt like if you're looking for some of these grungier greens, I feel like Sydney Grace, if you're looking for singles, definitely has those like neutral leaning colors, you know, like they do a lot of neutrals, but they have a good variation. So I definitely think you should check them out if you're looking for singles specifically. Then this one's from Shine by SD. And this one doesn't have as much of that red base to it. I wanted it to be lighter because I know that they're definitely different, the two on the top here. And that is called Radiant from Shine by SD. This next kind of grungy olive, I'm just using my little baby pinky. This shade is also from Sydney Grace and it is called Wildlife. I got this in a bundle. They had a green, I want to say it was like the Mountain Bundle or something like that, like a long time ago. So that's where a lot of my greens have come from Sydney Grace, and they've definitely come in handy in any of these like duping videos. Like I feel like I use them quite often. And then last for the first row, this I felt like was such a perfect color for Camu that's in there. And I honestly feel like not only color, but just everything about it. And this is $1 shadow from Shop Miss A. It's called Exotic. I don't know if they still have it, but they do single shadows over there for $1. So if you're missing Coastal Scents, I would check those out. I haven't tried a ton of them, but I mean, singles for $1, it's like unheard of. I feel like the lowest I've heard really lately is Looxi, and they do like $3, sometimes $2.50, depending on like deals. Anyway, next we have Glam Shop. This is such a grungy, swampy green. I was really excited to have this because I knew it would work for this palette, and that one's aptly named Spoiled. Then I took Cold Smoke from the Cosmos palette to put in here because there is this beautiful kind of gray shimmery taupey color, and I thought that one would work so well in place of it for the Natasha Denona palette. Next, another kind of swampy browny green. This one definitely has more brown in it, but it's a very yellowed and a greened brown. This one is from Looxi and it's called Spiced Lemon. So very grungy on that one. This next shadow is from Glam Shop. I don't know the name off my head. I want to say it's like Acid or something, but it's in a different language on the back because it's a Polish brand. But that one I thought was really good. Maybe a little too bright, but definitely has the grunge to it. And then last on the top row, this is from Terra Moons, and it is Hot Spiced Cider. Yeah, Hot Spiced Cider. I did it. So I don't know if that one's too close to the one in there because I know there's a shadow inside the Natasha Denona palette that's very similar to a shadow in Amanda's palette with the collab with Odin's Eye, and this is not similar to those. So this has too strong of like a red base on it, but it was the closest I had, so I put it in. Then we have a matte brown. You can use any like dark matte taupey brown. This one's called Tasty from Looxi. Just a matte brown, y'all. Just a matte brown. Then this is like a yellowy orange, and this one's from Shine by SD. They actually made some mattes recently. They're like 4 different colors, and this is one of them. This is called Creamsicle. I thought that one worked really well for the palette. Then I needed another shimmery green, so I just went with Brocade from Pretties for Your Face because I feel like this is just so stunning. Like, why not put this in a green palette? But I don't think that actually fits what that was. It's not that close. Then we have another warmer orange brown. That's another one from Glam Shop. I don't have the name on hand. And last but certainly not least, this one's pretty blue. This one's from Sydney Grace. It's a part of the Temptalia palettes. It says RR on the back. So it's from whatever palette that makes sense with, RR12. That's how I have them numbered, so I can remember where they go if I ever want to put them back. So anyway, this is the palette. Let me zoom you out so you can really see it in its glory, the full swatches. I feel like it's pretty good. Like, I'm pretty happy with that. I feel like if I were trying to like convince myself not to have the Natasha Denona palette, or if I were like holding off or just wanting to test out the color story, I think this would give me at least an idea on if I liked it based off of some things I already know by having it. But yeah, definitely a fun one to recreate. I'm surprised I had enough grungy colors. Like, again, there might be some that are like off here and there, but overall, I mean, to have enough grungy greens and yellows to put in here, I'm pretty proud of that. So that's my attempt at the Yucca palette. We will see, stay tuned, how close this actually is. So stay tuned for that. I feel like that Yucca palette video will hopefully go up the end of this week. is what I'm thinking. At latest like Sunday, but I'm hoping earlier than that. I got some stuff to do, got some work to do, but I'm excited to do it. For this last palette, I think I'm just gonna create my own version of the Smokin' Hot palette from ColourPop, which is really warm tones. I feel like this would have been such a banger in 2016. You know, given the Queen of Hearts palette from Raine a run for its money, giving Modern Renaissance a run for its money. Very, very warm tones in here, lots of like burgundies and oranges, and I think it's kind of fun, a little fuego for summer. So I am going to look through my collection and I'm just gonna pick, I'm not doing it exact, I'm just getting inspiration overall since it's such a large palette. I have a big palette here I'm gonna work on, and I think it will be fun just to have this kind of hanging out in my drawers for me to get some warm inspiration. I'm definitely into the cool tones and like bronzy tones, so doing something this warm will be kind of fun to challenge myself and kind of get back into some of these tones and see how they look on me and see how I feel about them. So let me explore my collection. Okay, here we are, you guys. I feel like this doesn't look nearly as exciting as the ColourPop one, but it's probably because I have this more so in like order. So I did some of my lighter tones at the top, and then I kind of diagonally work over to a darker shade is kind of how I like to do it. Although this one's over here, which is throwing it off a little, but I try to do more of the warmer like yellow tones on this side going into reds and pinks on this side and oranges kind of in the middle. That's also what I was doing. So I tried to pick colors I really think that not only I'll wear, but also some fun ones. Like there is some bright reds in here. I really wanted to have some fun with it. So I am going to swatch these out for you, and then I will have names down below because I honestly I'm gonna stab the shadows if I do this, and I would rather swatch them. So I'll have them listed out by row down below so it's easiest. But we have this first one. I know that has to be Shine by SD. So pretty. I actually added so many mattes. I'm like proud of myself. I really wanted to have some of these kind of like transition type shades for myself. Like I'm really trying to think of myself using this every single day, and realistically, like some of these lighter tones I'm definitely going to be reaching for. I really loved this color. So pretty. And these are very slightly different, but different nonetheless. Then let's do this pink. It's like a light pink. I thought that would work well for any of like the red looks I wanted to do. And then I really wanted to have some of these like neutral bronze tones that lean warm. So I think that one's from Sydney Grace. I think both of these actually might be Sydney Grace. These reminded me of like Charlotte Tilbury, Tom Ford type shadows, man. Like the tones that they are, that's like the vibe it's giving. And then last for the top row here, something a little bit more orange, a little more depth. Absolutely stunning. That would make my blue eyes pop so much. So much. So that is the first row there. Really beautiful. Like, this gets me excited. I love this. I really hope that this inspires you to, like, whatever makeup you have, to just play with it at home. It's so much fun. This brings me beyond, like, I don't know how to explain to you how much joy I'm having right now, but I love it. I freaking love this. We're on to the second row. We just have like a matte brown. I mean, this is not a big deal, but one of those kind of important shades. This is like a flaky gold, a very flaky gold. I don't know what brand that is. I want to say it's Looxi, but I'm not sure. Then this one, I want to say is Looxi as well. It's probably the shade Bohemian. That's what I'm thinking anyway. But this one has like a little bit more of like a rose gold tint to it. Then another matte brown. This one has some nice warmth to it, but it's still soft. Like, it doesn't go too orange, which I liked. Then I went with, this is probably one of the more fun ones in here. This is like a pink, and it does flip more of like a cooler purple or violet, but the base on it is warm and it's like kind of orangey and pink at the same time. You're seeing a lot of the blue or like purple cool tone, but I thought that would be so cool topped over some of these other like matte shades, like the more red tones or orange tones, just to give it something a little unexpected and almost kind of wet looking. So I put that one in. And then last, this is like a soft clementine kind of color. Like, it has a little bit, like, it's orange, but it has like this really rounded softness to it that I really like. That's not like so abrasive. It's so bright and just poppy as other oranges, like this orange. There's something about it that's a little more subdued, which I love. So that is the second row. Moving on, we have this really pretty bronzy gold. Ah, stunning. I want to put that on my eyes too. I want to put all these on my eyes. It would take me a month to get through this whole palette and put it all on my eyes. This one is gold, but it has green and red, definitely more of like that duochrome, almost like multi-chrome going on with that one, but still pretty subdued, like not too much. Then I did a bronze shade. I want to say this one's from Glam Shop, but just classic bronze. Classic bronze. Not too warm, but definitely not a cool tone bronze. Then this one here is a stunning like rose gold shade. That one is so pretty. I love that. I haven't worn shades like that in a while. That's why I wanted to recreate this one, just because, again, I just always go for those cool tones lately or more neutral tones, and I really haven't been, given the love to the warms. Then we have this red. This I'm pretty sure is from Looxi. Look at that. Woo! Pretty dang red, almost like a raspberry red though. There's a slight bit of pink to it. Then this one here is a beautiful, like, I love these kinds of browns. Let me use my nail to... How to get rid of hard pan, use your nail. No, but I really love this kind of dusty, rosy red. I love that, like a rosewood color. And then the last, this one has so much fun to it. It's kind of like a gray base, but then it has orange and gold and a little bit of pink shimmer going on. That one's definitely more of a fun one out of the whole group. So love that. That's the third row. Definitely not, to me, as cohesive as the other ones, but bear with me. Fourth row, another brown. I feel like this brown, oh, my hand's a little wet. Sorry, guys. I feel like this brown's kind of similar to the other one, but I put it in anyway. Sometimes those tiny bit of tonal differences matter, or you prefer one or the other, so I just decided to put it in there. Then a pretty classic, almost like a molten gold. I want to say that's from Sydney Grace from one of the Temptalia palettes. Then a nice orange with a golden shift, but really a fun orange. Like, it's very poppy, very bright, like, it's not subdued at all. Really loved that one. Another kind of bright orange, but this one's a matte. This is like a true pumpkin. A pumpkin orange, a crayon orange. Very true to color on that one. Then this one's from Shine. It's probably called Love or Lover or something like that. I know there's a few from this collection. I think it's the Golden Hour collection, but that one's a really pretty, it kind of looks pink there, but it has definitely something red going on as well as some golden shimmer. And then this is probably the truer red out of the bunch, but not necessarily as pigmented as that one. This red has more yellow to it, like it's more warm toned, and that one leans a little cool with the pink. So that is the 4th row. That one almost looks like a rainbow. It's really pretty because this almost has like a little green to it. So it looks like brown, green, yellow, orange, pink, red. It's kind of cool. All right, we are on to the final row, you guys. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really excited about it. It's just hard to swatch with my fingernails, but this is a beautiful, I love this orange as well. Again, has like a softness to it. This one is from Looxi. It's called Habeniro. I don't know why I'm telling you. I didn't tell you any of the other ones, but Habanero, I had to. This is, I'm pretty sure, Shine by SD. Look at that. Black based, but it has like golden, brown, green. There's some orange going on, a little bit of pink. Beautiful little multi-chrome there. Thought that would be a fun moment. The deepest brown that I have in here is next. I just wanted something, like if I wanted to do a wing or whatever, that had some depth to it in case I wanted to go there. Then I have a burgundy color. Ooh, I definitely wanted to put at least a couple of these in. This one, I think it might be from Glam Shop, I'm not sure, but it has that like burgundy purple with like that little bit of warmth coming out the sides if you really sheared it out. Then we have another really warm brown going on. Another burgundy, this one's from ColourPop. This is an oldie. This one doesn't have as much purple in it, so it's more warm toned. And then the last, I wanted to put in more of like a purpley red. This one definitely is more of like a raspberry kind of purpley red. Exactly what I said. But I thought that would be kind of nice if I wanted to go that way. I could with like those two colors or something. But that is the final row. That is my ColourPop Smokin' Hot version. Like, let's get some warm tones. Let's try it out. I think these are really pretty for summer, and I'm excited to do some pretty much one shadow looks, but maybe a couple more, maybe something more intense. I really hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with me today. Let me grab all my palettes. Here are all the palettes. I'd love to know which one your favorite is. I know this one's kind of off to the side and not its normal orientation, but I hope that's okay. I don't know what I love. I mean, every time I do these, I'm like, I'll have a favorite, but I think they're all so fun. Again, I'm really glad I did this video with you guys. I'm not gonna do a look today, but I hope that you enjoyed just hanging out with me, playing with some eyeshadows, and I'm gonna leave it here. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.